All right, well, welcome everyone to the July Virginia Caregiver Coalition meeting, general body meeting. Oops, so sorry. We are very excited that you all are here. As per usual, we are going to be continuing our breakout room introductions, where we have just 5 minutes to introduce ourselves in a smaller environment. So maybe just introduce yourself, what organization you work for, or caregiver status, and maybe how long or why you joined the VCC. And we will, Nick, can you send us out into our breakout rooms? Thank you.
I'm about to pull us all back in.
Hello, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Hello, I'm slowly pulling us out.
Am I still on? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can hear.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Mr. These are new headphones, and I wanted to be prepared for the meeting, but I'm still having some technical issues, if you want to call it. But again, I'm very excited to be working with you all, and I'm excited to learn as much as possible throughout this amazing agency. So, thank you for having me on board. And I had been ill for a little while, but I'm back in the saddle and I'm looking forward to doing what I can to help out. So thank you all again for allowing me to be a part of this amazing group. So thank you. Sorry for taking so long. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, well, that was quick. Hopefully everybody got the chance to introduce themselves. And we will now be going into our announcements section. So Juliana was not able to make it today, but she wanted to remind everyone to please fill out the survey at the end of today's meeting. Just because we use this survey to gather your feedback on ways that we can improve our educational presentations and really help it to guide the direction of the VCC, because we do really want this to be an organization that is made for you guys, that is helpful for you all. And that survey is really how we are gathering that information. So please fill that out at the end of our meeting. And now I am going to open it up for announcements from other people. And I believe Nick had an announcement that he was wanting to make. So Nick.
So I actually have two.
Awesome.
So the first one is the one I wrote down, and then the second one is the one I will just remember. So I received an email about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago from the administration from Community Living. So they are the ones that fund the Virginia Lifespan Respite Voucher Program. They provide the grant that DARS receives to conduct that. So they sent a tentative announcement that there is a potential administrative supplement to our grant in the order of about $200,000 to $400,000 for this year, which is quite a large chunk of money for an administrative supplement. So that's available to the states that currently are receiving the grant. They didn't provide any more information other than we will be sending out an email with more information about mid-August, but they're looking to award that in September. So
I have a question about that.
yeah,
If an administrative supplement, have they given you information on what that money can be used for?
essentially they want at least 50% used for direct support. So essentially more reimbursements to caregivers for our program.
Okay.
And the other priority was like programs or things that would help build the caregiver workforce because of the shortage. So that was like their two priorities they were looking for. The one downside that I found, because we connected with our grant specialist, Devin, who's over across the street. She said that even for administrative supplements now, we actually have to get the governor's permission to apply for them. And because administrative supplements normally have such short turnaround, that it's going to be a very, very tight schedule for us, which is not fun. And I won't get into any more of my thoughts on that. But so that's the first announcement. I really think it's worth pursuing. I mean, that could help a lot more caregivers and really help fund the program more. And now that we are kind of full staffed, where you can see our lovely secretary, Kim. She's the one that runs the program.
Respite coordinator.
That we could really help that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is I finally met again with Holly Lutz, who is our No Wrong Door person on the other side of the building. And we finally talked about getting the homepage for the VCC up and running. So the main point of my discussion was to move part of our grant homepage to the No Wrong Door site, the new like direct connect. So we had a good discussion there that can get off the ground very shortly. And then I mentioned that the VCC is also looking for a homepage, and we discussed a little bit of what we're hoping that it can do. And she's going to look into that and get back to us, but she doesn't think that would be an issue to at least get some at least functioning and some of the functionality we're looking for. And then if we want to make changes later on, that's kind of a nice thing. So I know we've had that on the plate for over a year now. And I'm just excited to say that there's been an update. So, and I see George has his hand up.
I was gonna say, George, did you have an announcement?
Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, my internet's going in and out, so I'll keep my camera off. But I just wanted to let everybody know that the Dementia State Plan will be open for public comment starting on August 1st. So that's a couple of weeks from now. It'll be up on the DARS boards and councils page, or the links will be there, and also from Dementia Services, and I'll put those links in the chat in a second. But that'll be open for 30 days. So hopefully, I know some of you are at the Dementia Summit, so you've already provided some input into the plan, but if you want to have a look and see if we've missed something, or you have some other thoughts that you'd like to add, that would be great. Yeah, please have a look, and that'll be August 1st to 30th. Thanks.
All right, yeah.
Hi, Emily, I also just wanted to share, Allegra here at Fairfax Area Agency. We have some programs, educational programs coming up for the public at large. And so this July 28th, we have a panel on aging in place, transitional care from hospital to home. And then August 16th is our next webinar on how to support a loved one with living with brain injury. And then we also provide the Dementia Friends information sessions, and we have that coming up August 9th. So I will put that in the links in the chat if anyone would like to join us. Anyone who has a computer can come. So you don't have to be in Virginia. Anyone is welcome to join us.
Is there any cost to attend?
Everything we do is free of cost.
Okay, that would be great. I want to go to the brain injury one.
Great. I'll put it in there. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. Anybody else have any other announcements for the group? Any upcoming events or opportunities for our membership?
I wanted to share a little bit from the US Aging Conference that was just this past week. And there was a lot of conversation about caregivers, caregiver legislation, the RAISE Act, the CARE Act, a lot of conversation about caregivers in the workforce, surrounding our desperate need to stabilize the workforce and how to utilize a broader range of caregivers and help them get paid for doing that. There was a lot of conversation around the integration of healthcare from the doctor's office or diagnosis to home, and all of the supports that could work in a more collaborative manner so that we can, better support folks, because all of us are just have little bits that we can provide, but if we put it all together, it's going to be a more meaningful assistance to the individual. So last thing I want to say, and I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but I want to share, I don't know if you all know, there's something called Dementia Society of America. They had a session, and I thought it was going to be a commercial, but it's wonderful. I'm ashamed to say, I thought Alzheimer's Association was the only game in town, but there is another, and it's called the Dementia Society of America. They gave out brochures that you all can order and distribute them, because they're laid out very, very clearly, colorfully, and include all types of dementia and a nice explanation about each one. They do trainings. So sharing that piece.
Great. Yeah, I have to say I did not know that either. So thanks for sharing. Anyone else have any updates or things that they'd like to share with the group?
I would like to share very quickly that the Education Planning Committee is having a slight staffing change. Well, it's not even a change. Jacqueline Anderson has graciously agreed to be the co-chair for the next year or so. And I just wanted to welcome her on board and let you all know that she's going to help bring some education to you all. And we hope that it's all helpful and beneficial and all that jazz.
Yes. And again, thank you all for allowing me to be a part of this. We all, in our individual lives, as well as our professional lives, we have come in contact with someone who has many things, many issues. I'm not going to say issues, but many life situations that occur. And, you know, just by being a part of this amazing group, I'm able to now reach out to families and friends and people that I meet out in the public who may have a question, because you never know where you might be, and you speak with someone and they like, I'm a conversationalist. I'm sorry. I just love talking to people, and I never know what kind of conversation I might end up in. So this is going to be extremely helpful, and I intend on giving my very best, and I truly appreciate this opportunity to just make a difference. I've wanted to do something like this for so long, and thank you for making an old girl's dreams come true. So thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.
Well, we're happy to have you, so.
Thank you. And Mr. Nick, you're awesome too. I've spoken with you on and off the internet and in my emails and everything. It's just amazing to finally put a face with the email and all of the voice and everything. So again, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the website that I have out there, it's called Healthcare to Home Care. I have 2 resources pages that have listed out locations for places that people can link to get information for free resources. Do y'all have contact listed of places? It's a way of integrating a lot of the things that y'all are talking about. It's for new people, for people who are new caregivers to find resources. Do y'all have lists of things like that that I might be able to put into those directories?
Yes, we do have a resource guide that I believe lives on the VCC webpage.
Okay.
So that is on our homepage on the DARS website, I believe.
So I can link to that.
Yes, that would be great. Yeah, so that guide, I believe, includes information on caregivers for persons with disabilities, older persons, persons with dementia, as well as persons with autism, I believe.
Okay.
And has those specific resources for those caregivers. Oh, yeah, there we go.
What I'm trying to do is help those people who are new caregivers find the resources in one location, because it has everything from public resources to community resources to supplies and all the different things of how to get started as a caregiver.
Oh, great. Yeah. So I think Nick just put the link in the chat.
Okay.
So you'll be able to find it there. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other announcements or questions from our membership? Okay, great. So I just wanted to talk about our VCC committee interest form that went out last month. Nick sent that out. Currently, we had 13 responses, which is great, but we'd love to see just a little bit more. So we are going to be sending out the link again today, just in case anybody missed that email and they are interested in participating in any of those subcommittees. And those who indicate that they want to participate will then be receiving a follow-up email within the next week or so with information about our August executive committee meeting. And we will be inviting all of those interested persons to attend that meeting to get some additional information more specific to their the committee that they signed up for. So we are rolling along with that and hoping to have those committees fully formed in August, and that way you all can attend our executive subcommittee. So if you are interested, please fill out that survey form so that you can receive that information about that August meeting. Any questions about subcommittees or the survey form or anything related to that? All right. Awesome. Well, we are now going to be moving into our guest presentation, and I will let Nick go ahead and introduce our speakers for today.
Okay, so if you read my flyer that I sent out last night at 6:30, we originally were supposed to have Dr. Lindsay present to us today. He called me this morning and he was not feeling well at all. So we talked it over and we were going to move his presentation to our September meeting. He wanted to convey his apologies and how bad he felt that he was unable to present today, and he was very excited about it. However, if you also read my email that I sent out, we were going to have a short little session from Dr. Bluestein and Ashley. Where are you? There you are. And Ashley Staten. We had Dr. Bluestein and I had connected in regards to this caregiver echo that he was trying to, sharing information with the VCC and provide some information to us about the Virginia Memory Project as well. So I would like to turn it over to them, who now have much more time to talk for as long as they would like. I know that they had some slides originally. I can do that, or I can allow you to do that as well.
Actually, Ashley's kind of helped me with that. I joked yesterday that some of my plans this year to use information technology were, number one, to schedule a Zoom call, which I've done. Number two, to do a doodle poll, but I have not mastered doing screen sharing. So Ashley, my presenter, is going to do that, and you will have to suffer watching me fumble with it. So first of all, thank you, Nick, for inviting us. And second, best wishes to Dr. Lindsay. By way of introduction, Dan Bluestein. I am a retired geriatrician and family physician. I spent 38 years with EVMS in my clinical career. Retired for some months. Bert Waters with the Geriatric Education Center and the Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program, whom I worked with, asked me to come back and help do some echo sessions, first for the nursing home echo, and more recently for around dementia, good dementia care for primary care clinicians. I'll talk a little bit about how we're trying to build off of that. And I also want to stop here and give Ashley a chance to introduce yourself as well.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dan. I'm Ashley Staten. I'm a social worker that works with the Virginia Memory Project, and Dan on the Caregiver Echo and a few other programs related to dementia education within the community. And again, we are so grateful to have this opportunity to sit with you guys today and just kind of talk through what we have going on.
Okay, so let's go ahead and advance slides here. I will definitely be explaining what an echo is, and I have echo in quotes here because we are not as yet an official echo program, although we're testing out some of their tools. We are not taking credit in any way for their, what they have done. So view that echo as the quotes as a qualifying statement. Also, this interfaces with the Virginia Memory Project, which Ashley will speak to. And let's have our next slide. And to address the question of what is an echo, quote unquote, or otherwise. Originally developed as a distance learning program by the University of New Mexico, and Dr. Aurora, a gastroenterologist there, who was very troubled that at barriers of distance, of inadequate number of specialist clinicians, of just other barriers to care, people were not getting good care for hepatitis C, were developing liver cancer as a result, and use distance technology and virtual learning as a way to empower primary care clinicians to have the knowledge and skills and confidence to do some of that management in their own settings and to try to improve clinical outcomes. This is the idea that's gotten a lot of traction. It's been applied to other chronic illnesses, including dementia. It is not your typical expert lecture where I or somebody else would drone on for an hour, and then there'd be a couple of questions at the end of it. The emphasis is very much on adult learning and audience participation. I've borrowed their graphic there explaining how the interactions work. If you think about it, it's a little bit like having a support group with the ability to have access entree to quote unquote expert information by a short abridged presentations, and also the opportunity to just ask questions of the what are called the hub, the content experts. This has been done mostly with providers and clinicians in the United States. It has been done elsewhere around the world with community outreach workers, with with non-clinical audiences. And if you've ever done an echo program, you really have to have audience participation. It doesn't need to be big, but you need to have people who are enthused and participate. If you don't, it's kind of this deafening silence. And we had uneven success with getting clinicians to attend. We were doing this during the height of the Omicron epidemic. People are busy to begin with. It's never a good time of day. There's always something. So clinician attendance was fairly spotty, though we did get a core of people, especially with the Dementia Echo, to kind of attend and really sort of bond together. We thought maybe we try a little different approach, and that is seeing if we could talk to caregivers, talk to them about what dementia care is, what good care should be, and how to kind of negotiate that. So we've been piloting this. Let's go to our next slide, Ashley. Thank you. Over the past year. In the long run, we're hoping to leverage ECHO and related methods to optimize the experience of and also the quality of clinical care for dementia. That said, we've continued to try to develop the clinician arm of this, which I won't really get into today, but our hope is eventually to have the clinician and the caregiver arm sort of interact with one another, have a common language around what is good quality care. And we are in a position to actually look at the caregiver side. What we have done so far is first, well, we started, I guess, about this time last year, first developing, how this was going to work, what our presentations would look like. I had the experience of trying to cut my slides down from 25 to 5. It was very difficult, but it was unquestionably the right thing to do. And we piloted this around the first of the year, just to see if people would attend, and they got something out of it. They could document that they got knowledge gains and felt more confident around the various topics that we spoke of, and got a pretty good response. We also, credit where credit was due, we also asked the Alzheimer's Association to help us with recruiting and also to be part of the presentation. We did a second series in May, more sparsely attended, but still, the attendance grew from session 1 to 2, and also again, with some evidence of increased knowledge and confidence around various skills. Specifically, what we're talking about doing in 2 sessions. Session 1 is really repackaging a quality indicator set of what is good dementia care for clinicians to something that a caregiver or a non-clinical person could use, could evaluate, am I hearing the things and getting things I know are on this checklist that go into good care? And we can also give them a little toolkit to work with that. Also, although primary care is, if for no other reason, primary care, I'll tell you, primary care can offer a great deal to dementia care. There are people who do good dementia care. There's also room for improvement. It's not quite that simple. There are a lot of reasons that primary care is under duress in this country that makes it difficult to take care of any chronic illness. But if you want to, there is no question that caregivers may want to ask questions about, well, can we screen for depression? Or I'm concerned we're not screening for depression. This just to give you a simplistic example. And maybe you need to ask questions, and we try to give them some tools about how to do it in a way that builds partnership and gets to the end that you're trying to see. Session 2 is much more focused on caregiver side of the equation, how to be a caregiver, and finding resources. As I mentioned, we've had the Alzheimer's Association and Adrian Johnson, the senior navigator, be part of that. So where are we going with this? We want to do 2 more series in the balance of this calendar year. And we want to continue when we get into 2024. What's new around this time is not just seeing if people will show up and say they got something out of it, but to try to establish some follow-up with them. It's true of any educational programs and ECHOs in particular, that you give information and provide support, but doesn't translate into something that represents better care one way or another, a better experience. And our hope is to be able to ask people, can we follow up with you? How's it going? How do our sessions help you? Things we should have done differently? Can we link you with resources? Very basic at this point, but trying to do something more than just, here's the information, thanks for attending. We're going to work with Virginia Memory Project in that regard. And that said, I'd like Ashley to step in at this point. Oops, nope, I'm ahead of myself. So real simplistically, our ask. We've sent a PDF with our flyer to Nick, if you kind enough to distribute it. The dates of our sessions are listed there. And if you have clients that you think would be interested in this, to attend, and we'll do our best to help out. Now, let me turn it over to Ashley.
Thank you, Dan. So as Dan has alluded, I'm with the Virginia Memory Project, and here on this slide, you'll see two different resources. So first is the Virginia Memory Project, which is essentially a survey that assesses and works with all things related to dementia, memory care, caregiving, all things in that realm. And so what we ask of anybody really is to take our survey. It takes about 2 minutes. And the information collected in the survey is fully confidential unless you allow us to use your information. And this information feeds into a statewide registry that ultimately allows us to connect not only those with memory concerns, but their caregivers with resources. And eventually it allows us to help advocate for legislative support in these areas. And I will drop the link in the chat as our presentation ends. And on the other side, along those same lines, we have a set of resources, age-friendly care modules, that is just another educational resource for those who are caregivers and for those who they support. And so please, 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 please share our survey with those that you work with, your agencies, your communities, because the information collected here only helps us help those in need. And I think, Dan, that's it. So
pretty much, we wanted to keep it short. I joked with Nick that I wouldn't say a whole lot more. I try to say it more slowly than I usually do. I probably still spoke fast, but I want to thank you for inviting us and listening, and try to respond to any questions or thoughts.
Anyone have any questions?
I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Bluestein, you were saying that you wanted people to participate in the upcoming program. You're looking for caregivers specifically to participate?
It's aimed
correct?
primarily at caregivers. There is no reason that someone who is a person living with dementia or just had concerns about their memory and want to know what memory care consisted of. We're certainly, they're all welcome, but this is primarily meant to be a caregiver resource.
Okay, and then one more question. I know you're talking about memory care and dementia. Would you also be talking about like memory care with individuals with brain injury? Or is that going to be something that is, because I work with brain injury. So, I mean, I could market this to my audience, but that's not going to get you as
We've
much.
already had, actually, de facto, we've had a couple of people who had post-traumatic encephalopathy as the issue they brought. And there certainly are other brain injuries. And
Okay.
we're inclusive. We want to talk to anybody who's willing to listen to us.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Bluestein?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, my name again is Jacqueline Anderson, and
Hey,
I
Jacqueline.
actually am, hello, thank you for the information, first of all, you and Miss Ashley provided, because I am a person with a brain injury, unfortunately myself. I sustained a chronic and an acute subdural hematoma back in 2011, and it has been a struggle trying to figure out what I'm doing and what's going on with me as a person. And I've just been kind of like going with the flow and trying to figure out where to go and what to do. And again, Miss Donna, thank you again so much for making me a part of this, and Mr. Nick again, because there's so much information as a caregiver. Also, I am a caregiver of a young man who sustained shaken baby syndrome at the very young age of 3 months old, and that's my grandson. So to have this information has just been a blessing today. So whatever information that you have, I am so anxiously looking forward to getting from you, so that way I can not only help myself, my grandson, other people that I am in contact with through the Challenger program who also have brain injuries and things. This is huge. This is so monumental for information wise, and I just am very excited about this information.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. And my hope is maybe you listen on one of our sessions. If you have any suggestions on how we might craft this to be more, as helpful as possible, to folks with brain injury, that's not something we built in initially. And as I made plain, we're still working with this. We made a start, but this is not a finished product. It's piloting, it's a little more piloting, but we're very open to where we are today is not going to be where we wind up, when we're said and done.
Absolutely, because brain injury, unfortunately, is a work in progress. And being on the other side of it, it has definitely been a work in progress. So there's so many things that have been not touched on and not discovered. So yeah, we're such uncharted territory. It's really scary, but we'll get through it together. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments for our presenters? All right, well, if nobody has any other questions, we will go ahead and conclude the meeting. Please take a minute to fill out that survey. I had sent it earlier, but I will send it again. Just make sure you put it in there. There's an opportunity to add some suggestions for educational presentations. And also please make sure if you're interested in any subcommittees, you fill out the survey that Nick is going to send. That way we can include you in that August subcommittee meeting. All right, thank you, Nick. Yes, he just put that link in the chat as well. Make sure that you join us for all of our meetings in 2023. There are hyperlinks for the Zoom registration for all of this year's meetings at the bottom of each meeting flyer that goes out. So you can register for all of the meetings in advance if you so choose, and get those on your calendars as soon as possible, because we'd love to see you all at our next meeting, which will be in September. So hopefully we see some of you at our executive subcommittee or executive committee meeting in August, and if not, we will see you in September. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.